Yeah, I get right to the racks. Then I make that shit back. Run up on me, get shot in the back.
Cause you're doing the put of your subscribe to the channel, man. You're back another Daddy Answer today. We're back out west once again, and we have how the Crip gang actually works. Wow. How crimes work inside it. We also did the Gordo guy, Insider, and we covered his story. And he was a former Nuestra family member? Yeah, right?
Yeah. Go check out all our documentaries. Our show's pretty dynamic, and it's fantastic because we don't waste your time. So if it's your first time tuning in, subscribe to the channel, request the content, and then we react. You can interact with us on Instagram or JVN TV on Instagram. You also subscribe to this channel. It's very important. Pops React, and we have a Discord.
That's how right too, right?
No more talk.
My name is Tyrone White. I'm a former 6'5" Menlo Crip. Some of my rivalries were the Blood gangs and the Crip gangs. We were involved in drive-by shootings as well as drug dealing. And this is how crime.
He looked like a Tyrone White.
He said they call him Big Ty.
Yeah, of course I've participated in drive-bys.
Oh, wow.
I've been a victim of drive-bys.
Jesus!
When you're going against war with one another, there's no winners. Now you can look at it and say, okay, I shot more of their homies than they shot of mine, or I killed more of their homies or they killed of mine. Wow. But both sides are taking losses. So if you both are taking a loss of life, there's no winners.
Exactly.
Well said.
Well, how do all the OGs realize that when they're like in their 40s and 50s? Why you can't realize that when you're early 30s or maybe?
No, I think a lot of people do recognize that and they know that.
But they just don't want to like.
So they don't do the gang, and then that's got this percentage that does.
Well, we don't know. Let's see. Usually, if you see an older guy, gang member who's free, he's either he told or he did his time already.
Right. But he definitely know what he's talking about.
The weapons.
A pearl handle.
When I was coming up, the guns that were used in gang bangings were the 9mm, the 45s, Mossberg 12-gauge shotgun pump,
wow.
AK-47s, Tech 9s. The first gun.
Every gun he named been in a rap song.
That is true.
I'm like, yeah.
Shotties.
Yeah. I remember.
I feel like where people use shotties like that, like
my 9mm go bang.
You never hear about shotguns going off. Like killing.
You know, my 9mm go bang. That's KRS-One.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, go check out that song. That's a dope hip hop song.
AK-47s, Tech 9s. The first gun that I ever got placed in my hand, given to me as a gift from one of my homeboys was a 25. A chrome
Saturday
25,
special.
little small 25
Saturday
with the
special.
pearl handle. Had like 6 shots in it or something like that. And as you got older and you learn more about guns and elevate yourself, of course you get bigger guns. Guns are sold on the street like dope is sold on the street. You can even buy guns from enemy gangs. Because right now it's a business. It's about making this money. They come from everywhere. Now, where they get them from could be from the police force. It could be from the military. You can never be caught what we call lacking or slipping. You got to always be ready.
Caught lacking or slipping. But listen, don't they give you football numbers if you sell guns, right? They do you dirty, right? If you sell guns.
They really do take care of you. They do you right. They do you dirty as well.
You can never be caught what we call lacking or slipping. You got to always be ready. You got to have enough firepower. You are ready for war at all times.
Buckshots. Pow!
From the early 80s all the way up through the mid 90s, those were the years of heightened gang activities. So drive-by shootings were nothing. You could literally turn your news on every day. During those years and see a drive-by shooting. Every day. We had a drive-by shooting to where that I participated in. I walked in the house and I remember seeing it on the news. I must have been about 15 at that time. I remember my mom was on the phone and she was like, I'm so tired of these kids shooting one another and killing one another. And I remember thinking to myself, like, man, she has no idea that I was just in this situation.
That's OD.
She never found out about it, but I just remember the way that I felt listening to her on the phone, telling her friend, like, man, these kids need to stop this, and this is crazy. And There's another situation to where we were getting ready to go out on what they call Sunday Fun Day, when all the lowriders, all the motorcycle clubs, all the car clubs, all the gang members, that's like the one day to where all the gang members, enemies, everybody can congregate in one area on Crenshaw Boulevard.
Oh, wow.
I remember we seen a car pull up to the corner. And usually when you see cars pull up in the corner with no lights or anything like that, you know that's a sign of something that's gonna happen. And all you see was guns come out the window and everybody just got to shooting at everybody.
Oh my God.
And we all just scattered like ants, just everybody screaming, hollering, running, scattering, because no one had guns actually on their person at the time. One of my big homeboys, he was very known. He had got hit in the face because they shot with a 12 gauge. And they had buckshots, but it didn't kill him because they weren't shot at close range. Luckily, nobody got killed.
Oh my
God. The beef.
Blood-free zone.
The Crips were founded in the 60s and by Raymond Washington. He formed the East Side Crips, which is on the east side of LA. Tiki Williams formed the West Side Crips. And through those two different foundations, different sets start to evolve. Different areas, you know, the Hoovers, the East Coast, the Rolling 60s, the Menlos, all these different sets. The object and the goal was to keep this side of LA safe. But, you know, as usual, things escalated, things multiplied, and violence became, shit happened. When Raymond Washington got killed, that's what caused the division. That's when Crippin became divided between the East and the West, and different things start happening in different subsets, and it just became like a disease.
I feel
one Crip set betrayed this Crip.
I feel like he talking to me. Like I'm really listening to this dude. Like I'm zoned out. Like this dude right here is really breaking it down. Huh?
Nah, word. He's doing a good job, I would say.
Yeah.
It became like a disease. One Crip set betrayed this Crip set, and then it just caused a never-ending feud.
Yeah, it's bad.
Bloods used to be the main rivals of the Crips, but now there are just as many Crips are against one another than there are Bloods. A lot of Crips and Bloods have become allies because they share the same common Crip enemy. For example, the A-Trade Gangster Crips, they have a peace treaty going on with the Inglewood family Bloods. And that's because their borderline is connected right next to one another.
Wow.
So since our neighborhoods are so close to one
Something
another,
always gonna happen.
you got to come through my neighborhood to get home.
Yeah.
I got to come to your neighborhood to get home. Let's make this a blood-free zone. No violence.
Blood-free.
Not
that's
saying
crazy.
that we're homeboys or we're just a close hood, but let's keep the peace between this dynamic, between this area. The beef between the 6'5" Menlo Crips and the Hoover Crips, it goes way back. We actually all
Didn't we cover something like that?
and went
Yeah,
to school.
we covered the Hoover versus everyone swap stories. Go check that out. But I never heard of the Menlo. Are they still around? Because I know he's an older
I
god.
think I might have heard of the Menlo.
Yeah, I never heard of them. So let us know in the comments, like, are they still around? Because you know gangs evolve and they change names and shit like that.
Together. We became one of the biggest enemies to the Hoovers because our sets are so close to one another.
Oh,
To
wow.
get to the Hoover hood, you got to come through our hood. You know what I'm saying? And so for us to get to other parts of the city, we got to go through the Hoover hood.
The recruitment. How do you get recruited, Pops?
Get them young.
I was born and raised in South Central LA all my life. Had a stepfather in my life that taught me how to be a man and different things. But for the most part, I was raised by a strong single mother. Usually in the black neighborhoods, when kids that come from single parent homes like that, they usually get caught up in these streets because your mom is out working, trying to make a living for you, provide for you. While she's at work, you're out there running the streets, doing shit that you know you're not supposed to be doing.
True.
And that's pretty much how I started it. I was about 10 when I first started hanging around them. I knew them very well. It comes down to, hey, you know, you've been hanging around us a lot, been chilling a lot, you from the hood, you know, let's make it official. You know, and making it official means getting jumped in or doing something to be a member of the gang. Can be anything from you fighting one person, sometimes 4 or 5 persons.
Damn.
It's to see how you handle yourself. It's to see what type of skills you have. If you get into one of these type situations, you know, can you stand your ground and hold your own, whether you get beat up or not? You have to know how to fight back. You got to be a monster to be a member of any gang, but particularly the Crips, you better be a monster.
True story. The culture.
Threw up the sea.
The word Crip really originally meant community, resistance, and progress.
What?
It was a way to bring the community, to uplift the community, to protect the community.
Resolution.
Of course, they took on a moniker and the appearance of a gang because, according to the dictionary, a group of 5 or more people is considered a gang. To be a Crip, you have to carry yourself a certain way. You have to walk a certain way. But for me, the allure was I loved the color blue, and they wore blue rags. They wore blue jeans. They wore blue belts. They wore blue Chuck Taylors. The dress code for me back when I was an active Crip in the 90s, in the early 80s, it was definitely 501 Levi jeans.
All right.
Creased. I would go buy a can of starch and literally spend about an hour ironing my pants.
That's how Crip back dressed now.
Yeah.
Crip back is the 2024 1980s Crip.
Yeah.
Literally, bro.
We did the other rapper too, Snoop.
Oh, Doggy Style.
Doggy Style.
Go check that out. And he was like on some old school shit too.
Yeah. He got the old school vibe. Even though people from Dino said that actually some people still dress like that, which is cool.
Yeah.
We just didn't know.
And a starch and literally spent about an hour ironing my pants, layering the starch to the point to where before I even put my pants on, I could stand them up. Crips wore K-Swiss because
K-Swiss?
It was an acronym. It was actually a disrespectful term towards the Bloods.
Oh, it is?
It was called K-Swiss stood for kill slobs when I see some.
Oh, shit.
Slobs is a disrespectful term towards the Bloods. If you wasn't a Crip, you couldn't Crip walk. If you wasn't a Crip, you didn't know how to Crip walk. And so to learn how to Crip walk and to actually perfect something like that was like a magic line. It's a cool thing.
Really?
Yeah, they could communicate. We could look into that. That's a whole video in itself. When the Crip walk in, they actually send messages like they talk.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so when you look at it, the feet movement, the way they dance, the way they do it, the way they incorporate certain moves, along with the hand signs and the hand signals, words that you Crips usually use, which was part of the lingo, was, of course, cuz. Everything you say would start with a C. If you had to say burger, you say kurger.
Kurger.
You know, if you say you say sitch. It's just different things that you could replace the B with a C.
Like Crip Mac, my business.
Yeah.
He said one word, I was crying.
Yeah, go check out our documentary.
Exposing Crip Mac.
Exposing Crip Mac. But, you know, after I watched, I don't want to get on Crip Mac too long.
Yeah.
That's what he want to be, and that's what he is, though. He really living that life. So, kudos to you, bro.
He would do it. And that was the same thing with the Bloods. Anything with a C, they wanted to eliminate it. And it may sound strange.
Big back of bullet.
Stupid. Y'all sound stupid. That was our language. That was the way that we talked. We understood it. And that's all that matters. And if you disrespect us and tell us it sounds stupid, you might get your ass whooped.
Probably.
Of course, they throw up the C. You know, the C is just, you just take your hands, you make a C with your hands.
Take your hands.
And
you got a big ass hand.
Now,
you take your hands and you sound like Shaq. You take your hands.
Your set, your actual neighborhood, your Crip neighborhood, like the 60s, they have their signs. The Hoovers, they have their signs. The Menlos, they have their signs. You're going to throw up that sign to represent, to let people know that you're actually from that set. You're from that neighborhood. We threw up the M. It was just an M.
Oh, wow.
You just take your hands across your, which is just how Ice Cube throw up the W when he's in concert and taking pictures.
He was a square, right?
At the W. Just turn it upside down and throw up the M.
Suburbs.
Gang graffiti is a big part of the Crips. People that are coming in there, they know when they see that on the wall, the Rolling 60 Crips or the Menlo Crips or the 5-5 Crips.
Oh, wow.
They know we're entering this gang. This is their neighborhood.
The hierarchy.
The hierarchy. To the top.
A double OG, you heard that?
The gang structure is not so much organized like the mafia with underbosses and bosses and stuff like that. We didn't give titles like that. But people automatically knew who the OGs were, who the double OGs were, who the big homies was, and who was ranked over who. The double OG is usually one of the big homies that has put in more work than you can imagine.
So he's in prison, right? Because
OG.
the double OG, you got to be in prison, right, to put in enough work.
Or came home from prison. Like, you put in a lot of work, bro.
Bro, if you catch like 2 murders, you pretty much got life, right?
I think with 1 you could.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Something I can help with?
No.
Homie's dad has put in more work than you can imagine. He's done it all. Killed, robbed, made money, been to jail. You name it, he's done it. Usually 50s, 60s, higher age that they were around
67
in the 70s, in the 80s when gangbanging really just exploded. They were at the top of their game. An OG really falls not too much different from a double OG, except that he may be a little younger, may have done a little less other crimes. Then you have some of the OGs that have turned their lives around, and they just want to live life, have a family, have wife and kids, and they getting money. They're making money the legal way. So what makes them an OG is the fact that
why not make the money the legal way when you're in your 20s? Why you want to do it in your 40s and 50s after coming home from prison? Now you got to work as I don't want to diss no jobs, but you work as a low income job.
I mean, you're young. They're young and they make mistakes.
But I'm 16 and I know this. Wake up, guys! Wake up!
Wake up, everybody!
Wake up from that street life. That shit is gonna end you up in dead or jail. Listen to guys like Charleston White. Read Charleston White books. Read.
Yeah, let's stop the violence. That's what we're saying.
They're talking to the little homies, to the young homies, showing them and explaining to them how they were able to do this. Street soldier is exactly what that sounds like. A street soldier is going to go out there and put in that work. For the OG, for the double OG, for the little homies, or just for
that's
the
not putting in work. Freaking telling the lady to get down on her knees and you're robbing the bank. Just rob that shit, bro. Bum rush it. Don't tell them to get down. They're not gonna fuck with you anyway. Why are you telling people to get down? I never got that. Oh, there's only one. There's always gonna be one superhero.
Get down when you pull out a gun.
Yeah, right.
Nigga, get down, boy. Nigga, get down.
This is not putting in work. Look at it. He's doing this old lady.
For the OG, for the double OG, for the little homies, or just for the setting, period. A street soldier has no limits. He's going to go out there and do what he has to do, no matter what. The little homies are usually, of course, what they sound like. The little homies that's looking up to the big homies. They're going to imitate, they're going to copy everything that the big homies do. And if the big homies is constantly going to jail, robbing people, shooting people, killing people, the little homies going to follow suit at some point. My main thing was always to look out for my big homie, or whoever called me they big homie, and make sure that he was taken care of, and vice versa, because he does the same for me. He don't have to, but he does.
The money. You think he ratted? Yo, let's do it over and under. You think this guy ratted? He's selling a lot right now. Because, they usually rats these guys who tell the gang business.
Well, I don't know, because we don't know his story, but I know that he's definitely breaking down the street code. The street code and how everything works. So you can say,
They say, the money.
The big weight.
I started out selling weed in middle school, and then moved to crack cocaine and robbing. I did robberies.
Yo,
that was my way.
No, I'm sure people made millions.
You know what's sad? You know what really saddens me when I see stuff like this though? Like, I don't want to get y'all sad and fuck up your high or whatever it is you're doing. But like, I just think like this shit could have been avoided, right? Like, if there was a way to like take it to the next level with like fixing everything, but I guess it's hard in society, right?
Because you're saying like there's too much bloodshed and like too much shit that happened?
Yeah. Definitely. But I think it should be a way to like, there was a way to avoid all this shit.
Word. Like, for the younger guards.
For the younger people, definitely.
Pain and robbing. I did robberies. That was my way mostly of making money and keeping money in my pocket. The big homies had the big dope, and they'll issue it out to the younger homies. Yeah. They'll issue it down to the guys to the next level.
That's exactly how it worked.
And it was a way for everybody from the big homie, OG homies, all the way down to the homies in junior high school to make money. The homies in junior high school, they may be out there selling crack on the corners, $5 rocks, $10 rocks, $20 rocks. The big homies, they moving big way.
The damage that crack did to the crack epidemic.
To the 90s, right?
Yeah, to the poor communities. Like, it's devastating. Like,
around the country.
Yeah, crack was a horrible, horrible drug, and it still is.
Yeah, there's no way that was a plant drug, right? It had to be, like, just drop down.
Let's hear the story.
ounces, quarter pounds, stuff like that. The drugs came from a lot of times from drug cartels, and as well as the government. Believe it or not.
Told you.
There it is.
I mean, there's a story about Freeway Rick, one of the biggest black dope dealers in the history of Los Angeles. And he was caught up in that Iran-Contra stuff with Ronald Reagan, and come to find out that the DEA was supplying him with dope, the same dope that they gave him 30 years for in prison. So, it's like, that's just how it worked. They put it in our neighborhoods to bring us down, to keep us down.
Yeah.
Always a goal of Crips to make a substantial amount of money and to open up your own business, whether it be a smoke shop or liquor store or a food place or whatever.
Barbershop.
That was the goal, to find a way to take that money and make it somewhat as legal as you can.
The LA riots, yo.
They would love talking about this. We should do it.
The LA riots is crazy.
The LA riots happened in 92. I was 18 years old at that time. The LA riots
do you remember this?
Yeah. The LA riots happened because of Rodney King.
What happened?
So Rodney King was on a highway and they pulled him over, and like he was high on drugs and shit. So the police were trying to stop him, but they beat him with 16 cops.
And then someone recorded it, right?
Yeah.
And back then,
the media recorded it because
wow.
Over they always have that in LA. They always have the people running from the cops and shit.
Yeah.
It comes on TV a lot.
Yeah.
It's pretty common in LA.
And back then, to see footage of police brutality was
the Rodney King beating. That shit caused riots, man. That shit led to the riots in LA, man.
Happened in 92. I was 18 years old at that time.
Wow.
The LA riots was a result of the Rodney King verdict. Those four officers that were clearly guilty as hell on video of beating Rodney King
all the cops got off.
When they were found innocent, that just sparked something in the community. I didn't never think I would see nothing like that. The ground zero of the riots happened 5 blocks from my house. I was sitting at home watching the news. I seen the news. So we jump in the car, we drive up to the riots. By this time, you got hundreds and hundreds of people starting to migrate to Florence and Normandy. So at this point, it just kicked off. It was spread like wildfire. Every car that came through the intersection that had a white person in it was getting attacked. I saw news reporters getting beat up. I saw cameramen.
Why though? Why the random white person got to get attacked when you seen the white guys holding up posters and being there supporting?
No, because it was all those cops got off. Mm-hmm. All those cops got off. It was 4 white cops got off.
I know, but it doesn't justify just hitting random white folks.
It doesn't justify it, but motherfuckers is mad.
Yeah, word.
It was mad. I think it's kind of crazy that should happen, but I mean, people can only be held back for so long, but after a while, they're gonna revolt.
Up getting the cameras taken from them, and at that time, it really didn't matter what gang you were from, because now it's a black against white thing now.
Wow.
So it didn't matter if you was a blood or a Crip or whatever you was. Even though it was such a messed up day, it's such a f***ed up day, it was also a day to kind of rejoice, because that was the first time in a long time that you saw common enemies,
he just look at me
and Mexican gangs come together against this one common enemy, the LAPD. And so after days of rioting, some of the community leaders like Jim Brown, the football player, a couple of popular gang leaders from different gangs, from different areas, different sets, had a meeting and decided that this was the perfect opportunity to try to bring a peace treaty, a truce between the gangs. Even though it was something bad that caused us to get to that level, it still was an opportunity for us to bring things together.
That didn't happen though,
Peace treaty lasted officially maybe a good couple weeks.
I think he said a couple years. He said a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because
I thought he was gonna say 2 years.
I'm sure the people in power are like, wow, we can't let this LA riots or the Rodney King situation happen again, because it allows people to join together and come together.
The 90s is very impactful on how everyone lives now.
Word.
The 90s really pushed the envelope for equal rights to everybody, for opportunity for everybody.
Kind of continued to dissolve as weeks and months went on, it to the point to where it didn't exist no more. But for that little short time, it was great to have it.
The expansion to New York, right? To
Africa Crip.
I'm in Africa Crippin'.
When gangster rap came out, it introduced a lot of Crippin', a lot of Crips. Yeah. And when NWA came out, which is the group that started gangster rap, Eazy-E, rest in peace, Eazy-E was known to be a Crip.
He was?
And
I know that.
From him, you had other pioneer rappers that were from Crip neighborhoods. You had Snoop Dogg.
Yep.
You had Dub C. All these
Never heard of him.
Gang rappers that was in the neighborhoods representing their hoods that were blowing up on the mainstream. And so now you got people sitting at home watching MTV, 106 in Park. They're watching all these video shows, and they got these gang members doing rap videos.
Yeah, they glorify
with the blue rags.
Yo, you think, guys, you don't think they push certain people on purpose? They push the gangbangers.
People say that, whatever. Yeah, they push the person, but like a generation of rappers have made so much money on violence and promoting that shit. Like,
what do you mean?
But like NWA and all those groups, like they really like that shit. Really like sent a bad message, man.
Yeah,
it was spreading what's going on, but I mean that was part of it. Snoop first. No, Snoop. Your first album was crazy.
But negativity sells, so we can't say certain people push certain things. But I would say that there's got to be these record labels know what's going to sell, and they push those certain people. We can't just say they're pushing.
Look, and the artist just want to make money, so he's going to rhyme about what he's going to rhyme about.
Word.
But I'm just saying, in retrospect, like 20 years later, I was like if you go listen to, I want to listen. I don't want to beat you in the head. I was a Target. I bought 100 Miles of Running, the NWA second album, not the Straight Outta Compton, the next one, the EP. And yo, I listened to that shit as a grown man. I'm like, I used to listen to this when I was a kid.
Yeah, like crazy.
Yo, they killing people in it. Hey, yo, it's crazy.
And the 6'4s and the lowriders and wearing all the gang attire and the gang uniform, but they're actually artists making money on TV, and now it's being broadcast all over the world. Aside from the UK and the Netherlands, I've heard about Crips in China. I heard there's some Crips in Africa, which I've actually seen online, social media.
They just want to be down.
People in Africa cripping and just loving this West Coast culture. And I think all these countries adapted on to these United States values and these United States ways just because of how it was glorified. Not really understanding the meaning of it. Know that people lost their lives and people are killing.
Nipsey.
This is not something to play with.
Becoming a cop.
He became a police officer? Changed his size.
In 1994, I went to Oklahoma. I got a football scholarship to go to Oklahoma to play football.
Right.
That's pretty much really what saved me from being killed or anything else bad happening to me on these LA streets. Played football there for 2 years at a historically black college. In 1996, 97, I moved to Oklahoma City, and I started working at the Juvenile Detention Center. They needed a gang advisor, a gang trainer. So, of course, I was qualified for that. Just volunteering my time, talking to the kids and educating them on gangs and telling them because I had no idea Oklahoma had a gang problem. So I went and I sat down with the chief of police to see exactly, where did he want me to go with this. I did 2 years in the school system. They came to me and asked me that I want to interested into transferring to the streets, basically running traffic, pulling people over, writing tickets, blah blah blah.
Let me
do that. I'll do that. See what that's like.
He became a cop. Is this the first Crip cop?
That could be a movie, From a Crip to a Crop, coming out this summer to a theater near you.
Crip cop.
Check him out.
Near you.
Adam Jeffries.
Blue and blue. He reps the blue and blue.
Blue and blue. Keep it blue. That's how we do.
I'm like, let me do that. I'll do that. See what that's like.
Wow.
I actually want to see how they dealt with drug dealers with me being on the other side of the law, and all the complaints that I had as a criminal, all the police brutality, all the mistreatment from the police. I got to witness that firsthand working with them, and a lot of times I would have to intervene on hold on, it was a couple of times where they had to have that conversation with me. Look, either you with us or you with them. So even in the training in the police academy, I dealt with racism. I dealt with discrimination. because a lot of those officers felt like this dude is a criminal. This dude is from the streets. How in the hell are you guys gonna let him work with us? Blah, blah, blah. That's why even after I became a police officer and I moved back to California, I still ended up hooking back up with my old homies and old gang members, and I ended up going to jail. Even after being a police officer, I went to jail.
What?
My experience with the
Can't make this shit up.
They still have.
It's just a movie.
Yeah, he the only person on earth. Yo, I became a cop and went straight to jail.
How does it even make sense?
Yeah, come on, man.
Police officer, I went to jail.
What?
My experience with the LAPD, they
LAPD
still
is
haven't
corrupt.
found a way.
LAPD is crazy corrupt, though.
Well, you got to remember, it's a job at the end of the day.
No, we got to do some. We got to cover some LAPD madness, bro.
No, yeah, they be wilding.
The cops, yo.
But being a cop is a job, so after work, you maybe do some illegal shit, right?
Yeah, cops do it all the time.
To deal with communities and cultures that
Imagine
they
that's
don't know
your
nothing
job.
about.
Fuck out of here.
It's the same tactics. No dirty cops, bogus charges, planting drugs, mistreatment because of who you are or what you represent. It's the same thing. It hasn't stopped. But one way the police can bridge the gap with the community is to continue to work with those that want to work with them. Big U is example from Rolling 60s. Guys that are gang activists that are trying to do things to stop the gang violence and help kids in the community and bring some positivity in the community. The main thing is to save lives. And after you save lives, you want to create opportunities.
What's that?
Prison. He went to prison?
Yeah. I guess in LA, even though he was a cop.
I went to jail in Oklahoma for robbery.
Oklahoma, he went to jail.
Since at that time, when I was out there, it was for a robbery that I did when I was living in Oklahoma. When I came back to California in 2006, I went to jail again in 2009 for another robbery.
What's wrong with him?
And
He's a serial robber.
they end up finding about another robbery that I did, and they combined the cases. I ended up taking the 3-year deal. When I first got arrested,
1 year for 3 robberies?
It's a 3-year deal.
1 year per robbery is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the jails are crowded, bro.
Yeah.
The jails are crowded right now, bro. They got nowhere to put nobody.
And they want to keep the violent offenders inside, so they'll give a robbery guy 3 years.
they took me down to the main LAPD headquarters, what they call the Parker Center. They transfer you the next day to the county facility. So I left the Parker Center that morning. They put me on the jail bus, took me to the county jail, which is known as the Twin Towers. You usually go into the tank. The tank is basically a holding area where a whole bunch of other gang members are at. And I'm talking about mixed in, Crips, Bloods, Mexicans, everybody.
Mexicans.
And that's like a box of dynamite waiting to explode. And sometimes you get put in those situations and the officers just leave you and they don't care. They don't, whatever happens in there, it happens. And you're going to always find somebody in there that's going to challenge you, especially if you're from a rival gang. You listen for the lingo. You listen to what they're saying. Or you might see people that you haven't seen since elementary and you lost contact with them. You wonder where they were at. Well, this is where they at. And so you find out that they from a Crip set. And so you guys just connect with one. Now, if it becomes a racial thing, Bloods and Crips, you know, they find a way to unite against whatever race they have to go against. Mm-hmm. You know, it can be some violence erupt in between the transportation into the different dorms or the different units. But for the most part, in the county jail, Crips was with Crips, Bloods with Bloods, or sometimes you get the general population where it's a mixed dorm. Now, don't get me wrong. If I went in there as a Menlo Crip or as a 60 Crip or 60 go in there and they run into some Hoovers, it's bad blood automatically. No matter we're Crips and we're Crips, we're in the same unit, it don't matter. We need to settle this beef. So I might walk in here and a Hoover Crip might say, hey, you from Menlo? I need that fade. So that lets you know that at some point, you and this guy have to fight because both of y'all sets don't get along.
They rival.
Inside or outside of prison with Crippin', there's no different. The way you carry yourself on the streets is the same way that you expected to carry yourself in the prison, except at a higher level. Because it's a little more dangerous in prison than it is on the streets.
Really? Yeah. Yeah, because you are dealing with the killers and the bad guys.
Everybody there got a story, bro.
Yeah. But the shoes could be dangerous too.
The shoes could be dangerous
too. Holmes.
The thing that made me change my life was my kids. When I took the scholarship to the school, I was in the process of changing my life. I just didn't know it. But that was my start of changing my life.
So was he a cop or not?
And when I started working with gangs and talking to the kids in the schools and at the juvenile jails, and I seen how I was getting through to them and how much they respected me from what I was telling them and trying to teach them, it just made me want to change. It just made me want to continue to
do better,
to do positive things.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing ever since. I met somebody one day and they told me I had this look. They's like, you should get into acting. You should think about acting. Right. So I started doing acting little gigs, doing extra roles. And so I've done several projects and been a part of several
like everybody else
TV series.
Yeah, that was me in the back. Look, I'm in the back.
Only movie I was in was Juice, and that's because I wrote my graffiti on the wall.
And dramas and different things that have gotten my foot into the door of acting.
It was in Tubi movies.
There's definitely some positivity that can happen from my past that was negative. Yeah.
Wait, what? This story was confusing. Oh my God, it's confusing, right? It was like he was a cop, but
he was a Crip, then he became a cop, then he got locked up, and then he became a Crip again. Then he's
He's a backup actor. Oh no, JTV.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.
We out here.
And I know how it gets, so I gotta stay low now, move my knot. I don't trust no nigga, I don't trust no man, ain't no friends, everybody get shot. You never know how nigga gon' throw, I'm hitting the flow with a couple of shots. You better move, you better duck, either way to go, you'll get got.